So here's my little stamping space here. This is where I do all my videos. You can find me on YouTube and see videos there. And I don't know that I can't really zoom in on this, or I haven't figured out how. So this is where we're going to be right now. Okay, so let's start by just taking our card. So this is our, I used Whisper White thick cardstock, 5.5 by 8.5, and my bone folder to really put a nice fold into it. Then we're just going to take our piece of 4 by 5.25 that I had you cut in a coordinating color. This Rococo Rose coordinates with the Designer Series paper, and I'll talk more about that in just a sec. But we'll just add some adhesive to the back and attach that with a nice border to our card. And then, oops, I'm sorry about the shaking. And then our next piece of 3 3/4 by 5 Whisper White goes next. So we'll adhere that. And here's what I'd like you to do. And I'm going to pause a little bit so we make sure that everybody's caught up. So far, it's pretty easy. But I want you to, in the comments below, comment about if I went too fast, if I went too slow, if I talked too much. You know, if you want me to shut up, you can put that on there. So I just don't want anybody to feel frustrated. This is supposed to be fun. So, you know, don't feel frustrated by it. Next, our 2 by 5 piece of Designer Series paper goes next right down the middle. All right, so I'm going to just adhere that right down the middle of my card. And I'm not overlooking the card, so please pardon me if I go crooked or I'm looking at it from an angle. So, all right, so far so good, right? So this Designer Series paper is Woven Threads, and it is in our main catalog, Stampin' Up, but it features all of our current in colors, which is Purple Posy, Pretty Peacock, Seaside Spray, Rococo Rose, and Terracotta Tile. So all of those colors are in these papers, and this set of papers actually happens to be free with a $50 order right now. So like I said, this is just stamping, so let's move on. Now taking our 1 inch by 2 7/8 inch piece and our ink pad, we're going to stamp our sentiment on there. This is Rococo Rose, and I have chosen Sending You Thoughts as my stamp set. This is also free with a $50 order during Celebration, but I liked it because it's got longer sentiments where I can put it onto my piece of 1 by 2 7/8 pretty easily. And I'm going to make this into a get well card because I'm thinking, you know, a lot of people are getting sick. It might not be a bad idea to have a stash of really simple get well cards on hand. So I grabbed the If Loving Thoughts Could Heal, and that's going to go right into the middle. And again, excuse my crookedness if it's crooked because I'm not looking straight on. So, oh, and while I have my ink pad out, this stamp happens to have another stamp that goes with it. If Loving Thoughts Could Heal, you'd be better already. So that's going to go on the inside. And I didn't have you get an inside message ready, so don't worry. So that's going to go in the middle. All right. Now back to the front. We're just going to take our piece of 1 by 2 7/8 and attach that to our 1 1/8 by 2, right? Is that the right size? Coordinating piece of cardstock, which in this case is Rococo Rose. And then I'm going to adhere it flat. In the future, I may suggest you have some sort of dimensional tool with you. The Stampin' Dimensionals from Stampin' Up, or you know, just a piece of rubber that you cut away from your stamps when you put them together, or you know, just something that you have that dimensionalizes things. But today I just decided I'm going to do it flat. And then I'm going to take my ribbon, and this is the scallop edge linen ribbon, I think is what it's called, but it's Rococo Rose. It comes again in all of our in colors. But you can do one of a couple of things here. You can just tie a knot, or you can tie a bow. And if you tie a knot, that's why I didn't tell you how big to cut it, because I thought you could decide. If you tie a knot, it's easier, yes. But what I like about tying a knot with this ribbon, it's a little thicker and coarser. So tying a bow is a little harder. So I'm just going to take, and I'm going to have to cut a piece off. All right, I'm just going to take this and make your knot. Now, if it's one-sided ribbon, you have to twist when you pull the knot tight. See how the other side, there's no border on it, so I had to twist it when I pulled it tight. And then I'm going to grab some, like I said before, I'm going to grab a couple of mini glue dots. And there are a couple different ways you can do it. You can push your knot onto the glue dot and it should come off. I have noticed when it's cold, like it is kind of in my studio down here in the basement, it doesn't always want to attach. So then this can go right to the edge of the words, and then we'll just trim that off. All right, so how are you doing? Did you do it? That's our card. We're all done. Super simple, but it just showcases, you know, and I thought, what a great thing to showcase some designer series paper, because I know you, some of you hoard your designer series paper. It's time to start using some of that so you can buy new stuff. So don't hoard it. Use it on these cards. We're going to be using a lot of designer series paper on our Stamp Together Saturdays. And if you don't have Stampin' Up, it's not called that. It's not called designer series paper, but your printed paper, your scrapbooking paper at home, perfect for use on these cards. All right, so let me show you now the inspiration to this card. Okay, so this one was a card that I had gotten as a swap from Kathy Pechtold from Redding, California. Thank you, Kathy. She did something really simple also. You can see there's a embossing folder background, at least I hope you can. And then she also added some white leaves from our punch. We have a punch that punches those out. And then she tied a bow with our polka dot ribbon, which is so cute. One thing that she did differently from us, another thing I should say, is that she actually stamped her background. This is glossy white cardstock, and she used a stamp from the stamp set. And I wish I would have looked that up before. I'll try to remember to look it up later and post it in the comments section. But she used a stamp here to make her background, which is really pretty too. She also did pop up her sentiment with dimensionals. So in the future, I am going to put that often as an item on your list for Stamp Together Saturday. But I just wanted to let you know, or I just didn't want to do that today because it's our first time together. And never feel like you have to have a supply, or you can always, or usually, figure out a way to skirt around using something like the dimensionals. I mean, it adds a little dimension, but really you can do it without. So I don't want anybody to feel stressed about this. I just want you to be able to feel happy and have something beautiful when we're all done. So thank you for joining me today. I can't wait to read your comments, and I will see you next week.